It's about a minute after 6. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting of the Allgood City Council to order. I would ask that we all stand. Mr. Bill Matheny is going to lead us in prayer, and then Mr. Bill Bilbrey is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Honorable Mayor Fowler.
Here.
Honorable Vice Mayor Bilbrey.
Here.
Honorable Councilman Graves.
Present.
Honorable Councilwoman Hawkins.
Here.
Honorable Councilman Hill.
Present.
As always, we have our agenda and the minutes to consider. I would ask that the council take a minute now to look at the agenda as well as the minutes that we have all received earlier and had a chance to go over. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as it is presented.
I make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Flatt?
Mayor Fowler.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bilbrey.
Yes.
Honorable Graves.
Yes.
Honorable Hawkins.
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
Yes.
Next is approval of the minutes of the meeting that was held on April the 13th. Again, we have had time to look at those and go over them. If there are no changes or anything that we think that has been deleted or names, now would be the time to let me know. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Flatt?
Mayor Fowler.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bilbrey.
Yes.
Honorable Graves.
Yes.
Honorable Hawkins.
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
Yes.
Next we have consider approval to suspend reading of some ordinances, particularly ordinance 660-21, 662-21, 663-21, and 664-21. Those ordinances are going to be discussed in detail as we get on into the agenda. So rather than reading each and every one of them at this time, I would go ahead and consider approval to suspend the reading of those at this particular time. Is there a motion?
I'll motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Flatt?
Mayor Fowler.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bilbrey.
Yes.
Honorable Graves.
Yes.
Honorable Hawkins.
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
Yes.
All right. consider approval, the next item is consider approval on first reading of this ordinance 660-21, which is to change the zoning classification of approximately 1.30 acres at 299 East Main Street from CA General Commercial to R3 High Density Residential. And we have had considerable discussion about that, and it was tabled but has been brought back this evening, and so we all know where that parcel is, next to what was it, highways? I call it the rock quarry, but anyway, in that general vicinity, and it's across the street from the school. And it does come to us, I must say, from the Planning Commission with their recommendation to rezone it. Specifically, so if the audience doesn't know, that is, there's been a request to rezone that area to make it high density residential, so that there can be a set of apartments built there, which would be right next door to the other two sets, or it's like an L shape now, and if they were to go ahead with this, it would complete that section to be a U section. Is anybody on the council? I'm used to looking this way and that way, so now you all are down here. Is there anything that you would like to say or discuss about this any further? Does anyone wish to make a motion either way?
Mayor, I think we changed the zoning on that area there for a reason back some time ago. And I understand what they were telling us the other day. If there's anywhere it's a perfect fit for apartments, that is a perfect fit. But 90% of the citizens I've talked to say we've got enough apartments. I would have to entertain a motion that we don't allow it.
Okay, the motion has been made by Vice Mayor Bilbrey to deny the zoning request. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Graves. All right. Ms. Ann?
A vote of yes here will approve a denial of the rezoning request.
So would it make sense to say approve or deny? Or just so we're clear, we had this issue once at one time.
We are. The motion is to deny the request. So if you agree with the motion to deny the request, you will need to vote yes.
I would say yes, I deny the request, so just say the whole sentence.
Good.
That way you got a clean record.
I love it.
Ms. Black?
Mayor Fowler,
Yes, I deny the request.
Vice Mayor Bilbrey,
Yes, I deny the request.
Honorable Graves,
Yes, I deny the request.
Honorable Hawkins.
Yes, I deny the request.
Honorable Hill.
Yes, deny.
All right. Item number 5 is that the floor it will now be open for a public hearing on ordinance 662-21. That is, consider approval on second and final reading of that ordinance, which creates a new department head, which would be the Parks and Recreation Director. It has passed on first reading, and now I guess we would open up this session, and if there's any comment from the public, we'd be happy to hear what you have to say. If you have a feeling on this, either way, please let me know, and I will make sure you're recognized. Yes, sir, Mr. Ben.
Yeah, last month we were talking about the budget, and it appears to me that our budget's going to increase. Did I get it? Was it $1.5 million or $2 million for the year? Did I miss that last month?
No, you're correct. It's $1,038,000.
And most of that's coming because of the park, right? The park improvements. Did I pick up on that as well?
That is correct as well. $675,000 for phase 1 of the park.
I just found it kind of funny that we were looking at how to reduce the budget when it's staring us right in the face. I'm not for or against a park. It's just that, you know, you're expanding government, you're adding another job, and that's just going to grow from there, and that park's going to get more and more expensive. Is that something? How many % of the population will utilize something like that?
Well, we're hoping not only our population, but others as well want to travel here. It's all good to use our park.
And that, you know, those are great things, you know, as long as we can afford them. So, you know, I was hearing last month that we want to be conservative, but we don't want to be conservative. And it just seems that that's a luxury and not a necessity. That's all I'm saying. Okay?
Yes,
So
sir.
I'm just trying to realize the money, and it seems like we're taking money out of our savings and we're spending it on this park. You know? So, you know, looking around at other departments for, you know, cutting a budget, I just missed that. It was over my head last month. You know, sacrificing a vehicle and all those things are pretty political, if I can say. But you're all staring at a budget that's $1.5 million, $2 million, and it's the park. Just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Are there any others who would like to express an opinion? Yes, sir.
My name is William Morala, and I'm Tisha's husband. And the park that is being designed, it really depends on what your overall opinion is and where you want to be in 5 years. This town has tremendous opportunity for growth, and we can only, this park would make it some people would get to know Albany and get to know how good of a community could be, and that's a great place to start. If it's in the budget, it's an incredible idea, I believe, or if you're looking at a 5-year growth situation. So I'm just all for it. That's all I'm going to mention.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other, excuse me, are there any other comments? Okay. I might just add that it has been some time since this property was purchased for the park, and it is finally now upon us that we are in a position that we can start moving ahead with it. The Parks and Recreation Director would also have under their charge the White Plains home, of course, the new park. We have the city grounds and properties, so the farmers market, as well as the ball fields. And have I left out anything, Mr. Morrison? The rail trail. So we are significantly growing and taking on things that will need to be seen about, and so that is why I feel like that the council voted initially to get a Parks and Recreation Director so that we can have all of those things under one heading and that they can be seen about in an orderly fashion. But I will now close the public hearing section of our meeting and go ahead, and now with the council, I will entertain a motion whether or not to approve on second reading ordinance 662-21, which creates a new department head, Parks and Rec Director.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Graves made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Hawkins. So now, Ms. Blatt, it's your turn.
Mayor Fowler,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bilbrey,
Yes.
Honorable Graves.
Yes.
Honorable Hawkins.
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
Yes.
All right, item number 6 on the agenda is that similar to the ordinance we just had the public hearing on, the floor is now going to be open for public hearing on ordinance 663-21 that has approval on second and final reading of 663-21, which is adopting the budget for fiscal year 21-22 with the tax rate to be set as the returned certified tax rate. And of course, we don't know what the certified tax rate is going to be probably until the 1st of July, but we have had the budget before us, and it did pass on first reading. However, we have tweaked it somewhat, but if there are any comments, let's take care of that first. We'll have the floors now open for public hearing on the budget. Or if anyone has a comment, raise your hand and let me know.
So this is amended slightly. There is a revenue expected of $3,337,888. The appropriations for the general fund are $4,376,242. That is $1,038,354 over budget, which includes the park phase 1, as well as several other capital outlay projects. That is estimated to leave the general fund balance ending June the 30th at $5,154,807. State street aid did not change from the last reading. It is $131,100 for both receipts and appropriations, so that will not affect that one. The drug fund is $30,015, both revenue and expenditures. And then the cemetery fund is both $10,475 for revenues and expenditures. And then the water sewer fund did go down just a little bit. It is a revenue of $2,351,950 with an expense of $2,873,408 with an overage of $521,458. That does include $745,000 worth of capital outlay projects, which are a Main Street water line, an Old Walton sewer project, Brotherton Mountain pump station upgrade, as well as Spring Creek Road upgrade for water to those residents that we agreed to some months back as a co-project with the county. And so that does leave us a regulatory change in net position of $319,000 to the positive for the water sewer fund. As the mayor stated, the certified tax rate is the plan to be accepted as received when we get that sometime in July.
I'll entertain approval of the second reading, adopting our budget for the next fiscal year.
Note that when you make the motion to approve the second reading with the changes since the first reading, since there have been some changes.
I'll make the motion with changes since first reading.
Okay. Mr. Bilbrey, and now do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Hawkins? Now Ms. Flatt?
Mayor Fowler,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bilbrey.
Yes.
Honorable Graves,
Yes.
Honorable Hawkins,
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is to consider approval of first reading of ordinance 664-21, which amends the budget for fiscal year 2021 regarding police department grant expense. And that is for a grant that the police department received, I believe, from Walmart.
Yes, ma'am.
In the amount of $5,000. And so actually what happens is that comes out or comes in rather, and then it goes back out for police department expense. And so the net is actually zero of what happens with that. It's just we need to do this for bookkeeping actually. So I'm going to go ahead and make the motion that we go ahead and amend the budget for this ordinance 664-21 regarding the budget for the 2021 police department grant expense. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Flatt?
Mayor Fowler,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bilbrey.
Yes.
Honorable Graves,
Yes.
Honorable Hawkins.
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is to consider approval to appoint a committee to study the traffic issue in the city and make recommendations for improvements. This has been brought up to the council, and we have wanted to include, of course, the public, and we receive reports about what's happening with traffic in our town. I don't know that, you know, when it comes to appointing a committee, the committee has to accept. So that'll be something that we'll need to give some thought to. But we have a volunteer or a draftee. I prefer to think of him as a volunteer. The chief has said that he would graciously serve on this committee should we decide to form one. And Luke, would you like to speak to that?
Absolutely, absolutely. I spoke about this yesterday at work session, and you know, after our work session, after some of the comments you made, you know, do we need a formalized committee? You know, and I don't think so. You know, I was talking to Chief before the meeting and several others, and you know, really what I'm thinking is just to give our citizens, you know, an avenue to, you know, open discussion of their concerns of traffic. It's one of the concerns that a lot of people have come to me and said, you know, they've got concerns. And it's not just my neighborhood, it's other places. And I was talking to Chief this, you know, before the meeting. I don't think our community is unique in having traffic issues. And so I don't know if a formalized committee is the right vehicle that I think we need at this moment. Maybe just a little town hall. So what I would maybe suggest is like, maybe have Keith just find some times here in, you know, 2 or 3 weeks. We just all sit down, invite our community into you know, in here, and just, you know, discuss, you know, hear from our citizens as to, you know, what their concerns are, what they're seeing. You know, Chief's got a bunch of good ideas and just open dialogue and just kind of talk it through and just kind of shed light on it. And I think that's probably a good first baby step before we, you know, like you said, forming a committee. You got to figure out who's on the committee. You got to figure out if they're going to accept it. I don't know, just a good old-fashioned town hall, and just maybe have Keith, you know, advertise for a little bit to our citizens and open it up for dialogue. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
We could schedule one for June the 8th at 5 o'clock, which would be just before the council meeting. They give us a month to plan, prepare, and advertise it and put it out if you all wish to do that.
I wouldn't do it before a council meeting because, I mean, you start getting some good ideas, and if it's just an hour, you
Okay.
know, I'd
So you want a separate night?
something on a separate night where we can, you know, if it goes long and we solve the world's problems and it takes us 4 hours to do it, you know, I'd rather do that than be, oh, we're just at an hour, we gotta, everybody leave. So I'd rather do it on a different night. And if it takes us 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 10, whatever, I mean, I think my motion would be to, you know, table the concept of a formalized committee, and let's do this first before we, you know, get too in depth with a, you know, formalized committee.
All right, the motion has been made to table consideration for appointing a committee to study traffic issues in the city and make recommendations for improvements by Mr. Hill. And do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Hawkins and Ms. Blatt.
Mayor Fowler,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bilbrey,
Yes.
Honorable Graves,
Yes.
Honorable Hawkins.
Yes.
Honorable Hill.
Yes. I tabled my own motion. Thank you, you all.
Just want to say, remember the water tower town halls. So, you know, I mean, it's just,
I'll host.
it's, you know, this one's on you, brother.
We'll provide
All right?
coffee and water.
Mr. Morrison, we are now ready to hear from you.
June 4th and 5th, we're going to do a citywide yard sale. The banners are supposed to be up, and we're working on advertising. We've got both radio stations working on public service announcements. The idea here is that everyone in the city of Allgood that wants to participate would put out a yard sale, and we're just going to have them all over town. This will not count against one of your 3 for the year, so we're not asking you to come in and get a permit. We're just asking you to set up a yard sale. This will be in conjunction with the Mingle Market to be held June the 5th. July the 3rd from 5 to 9 will be Let Freedom Ring 2021, so the fireworks at 9 o'clock. There will be activities and festivities on the ball field beginning at 5 p.m. that evening. And so we have that slated. And then in August, I believe it's August the 7th, we have a steak cook-off, which is a qualifier for the national in Texas. So if you can pull it off and cook the best steak, then you can qualify for the national cook-off in Texas. So we think that's going to be a big event for us, and we continue to work on these, and we're excited about that. Director Jones is currently working on a water leak, so he's out in the mud hole somewhere. Chief, do you have anything?
Y'all are aware of the critical incident we had this morning. It's been resolved safely. Officer Tyree and Officer Meyer, I'd like to recommend them for a commendation. They did an exceptional job this morning. Other than that, everything else is going well at the police department.
Absolutely. With the climate that we have regarding law enforcement, they are certainly to be commended, and we're certainly glad that no one was injured, and we certainly would want to always remember those who serve the community, and we appreciate that, and I'm sure the person involved and the family appreciates the way it was handled. So thank you and kudos to your department for that.
Thank you.
Okay. We do have, I just want to say that we have some certificates here that we would like to present. We've had several of our employees complete some management training, and we want to certainly recognize them. And we also, at the conclusion of tonight's meeting, will be our first beer board meeting, and so of course you all are invited to stay for that. If there is any citizen concerns or group concerns, I'll be happy to hear those now. Yes, sir, Mr. Ben.
I had a few things to bring up. I was reading in the Herald about some comments made about Dry Valley Road and Cooper Road, particularly the water issue. And I know I've been dealing with that since I've moved there. One of the questions I have is the apartments over at Dry Valley, they have a holding tank. Is that right? A holding tank or a holding pond? Yes, sir. Okay, so the only reference was then to the Cooper Road condominiums. They don't do any kind of water holding at all, correct?
They have some retention, I think, built into the back of the property. There's some rocks that are there, and they dump their gutter water.
No. So they built up the property 5 feet in the air with a bunch of rocks. That's the holding station.
Well, they've built that into a rain garden style system in the back. They don't have an actual detention pond built into the property.
Okay. You know, I'm glad to see that the zoning didn't get passed today, but you know, the Cooper Road condominiums is kind of a sore subject for people on Cooper Road. You know, they lifted that property 5 feet in the air. Nobody was expecting that. You know, we have a water problem. My neighbor on Dry Valley is, you know, ankle deep in water every year. And that water is supposed to flow in one direction, and it doesn't. It flows in two directions, and it comes back down. And he's a little bit lower than me, but I get the water up to my property, and it's all underneath my property. So, I just want to make sure that I mention that I see it in the paper. I see that somebody recognizes that there is a problem over there at Cooper Road and Dry Valley. I don't know if it's gotten any better. I haven't had one where the entire area flooded in a couple of years now. I also have a question about Dry Valley Road, and that is over by the healthcare center. There's rumble strips, and I know we don't like to use speed bumps, but the rumble strips are pretty handy. And if you go by there now by the healthcare center, you can't really hear the rumble strips anymore. They seem to have settled out. Is that possible? Because before I used to go there and I could pick up the rumble strip. It's there for a reason. I'm sure there was a bunch of accidents by the healthcare center. So they have a rumble strip to warn you about the stoplight or the stop sign. You all know what I'm talking about?
We do. They probably have wore down. We're working on getting that section ground back up and fixed where it's kind of waving and washing off. So we'll put those back when we put that back in.
Let's not pick that up since Dry Valley's a pretty bad road for people, you know, cruising through. And if you're brand new, you're definitely gonna, you know, pass right through there. But another suggestion that I had is Virginia Street. I know a lady had brought up about Virginia Street, you know, well aware of that area. And I know that when I first came to this town, I originally blew by at least one of those stop signs because there's so many of them. Is it possible to entertain putting rumble strips over on Virginia Street?
I would think that that's something that could be considered. All of these suggestions would come together at the town hall that we're talking about having to discuss the issues about the streets.
It's good timing, but again, I'm not one for speed bumps, but the rumble strips seem to be pretty effective without causing any safety concerns. And the last thing I have to say is that the speeding issue on Cooper Road is getting progressively worse. I haven't been documenting it, but we are in the reckless driving range. Okay, these guys are over 45. They're pretty easy to spot, and they're getting a little more regular at this point. And the noise problem has now moved from Cooper Road, you know, back over to Dry Valley. And we still have our Mustangs, you know, having a good old time. The black and silver ones having a good time on Dry Valley, making a state? Because we have trucks, I got green trucks, some weird green trucks, just started to do a weird show, who knows, they're all connected. But, you know, it seems like we get a vehicle, we take it and put aftermarket parts on it, we can make it as loud as we want. Because that's what's going on.
We have a noise ordinance, but I don't think it specifically addresses exhaust. Chief, I don't know if there's anything state law wise that addresses that, is there?
Not aware of one, but I'll look for it. Danny?
Yeah, so then
I'm
in
not
the
trying to
state,
pass the buck, I'm just asking a question.
No, it's fine. I'll quiz, but this one I'm gonna have to fail, so
Yeah.
I don't know the answer, sir.
I'll have to look for it myself.
but I'm used to the state regulating that. And there's no state regulation on noise.
There are a number of statutes on vehicle equipment, but I don't know specifically about one on noise, but we'll look into that and
Well,
see what we can find out.
as a young driver, I remember being pulled over and cited many times for noise. You know, I didn't get away with it for more than a day or two.
What jurisdiction was that in, sir?
You know, that was in another state, of course.
All
So
right.
I'm not used to it, this unlimited noise thing, you know, we can just put any aftermarket part out we want. But anyway, I just wanted to make, you know, all that up, that, you know, there's still a noise problem. I mean, you could sit there, I don't care, you go in any neighborhood around here, and late at night, just sit there and listen. You can hear it ripping around, you know, that's pretty noisy if you can hear it a couple miles away. Okay?
I have to agree with you, Mr. Ben. When I can hear music coming from a vehicle on Mirandy, and I'm already in bed, that's an issue, or that's an issue that I have.
Right.
Maybe not to anybody else, but it does bother me. And if I'm parked, or if I'm driving next to a vehicle, and my car is vibrating because of the vehicle next to me's music, that upsets me as well. So I'll be happy to hear what we can or can't do regarding noise issues.
Well, again, I tried to bring up an ordinance, I don't have the attorney's email address, but I think Pigeon Forge, I kinda like their language, because it, you know, at least we'll have a number to go by. But it doesn't do much good if the vehicles aren't, you know, they don't even regulate them.
There is a state statute that regulates excessive noise coming from vehicles, but it appears to be confined to stereo systems, stereo amplification, or other electrical devices used for the amplification of sound. So exhaust does not appear to be covered by this state statute. It's 55-8-193, Chief, if you want to look at it, but it would be.
We clearly had a group of citizens that have made sound an issue. And some of those citizens happen to be public employees. All right? So the sound issue is more than just in my neighborhood, it's in other neighborhoods as well. And like I said, I invite you some night to come down to my neighborhood on a Friday night and listen to what's going on out there. You can hear them for miles. All right? If they let them get on 110, that's great, but stay out of my neighborhood. You know, and don't recklessly drive in my neighborhood either. You know, we're not talking about speeding, we're talking about people that are being excessive. All right? They're impeding on other people's right to have a peaceful day. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Margie Kowalski, and I live on Old Highway 42, right between 111 and 42. I have a flood plain down on the road there that needs to be fixed. And also the noise, I agree with him 100%, because I can hear every little bump. And I can also hear gunshots. And I'd like to see somebody go in there and do something about it.
We are aware of some of the gunshot issues, and we've tried to go out there. Some of those are outside the city and are in the county. You're kind of in a narrow little strip there as far as gunshots go. Now, there is that section of 42 that goes on past your house is city road. 111 behind you is not part of the city. You're kind of in a little finger that goes out. So we do have some jurisdiction over there. Some of it, I'm afraid, we won't be able to help you with, but some of it we can try to help you with.
Well, I think this could help with the road there, because you have 111's water comes down on the side, comes right down below my house, and then there's a little, pipe that flows the water over to across the road into another person's property, and it floods there.
When we get heavy rainfalls, what she's talking about is where a ditch line is, they put a culvert pipe down on the end. It's about 16-inch or less. It goes across the road until our ditch is not fixed right. When you get heavy rains, it floods everything out in that area, and that ditch line becomes a flood zone area of her property. You guys need to look, fix that culvert line and that ditch line on the opposite side.
Some of it we can try to look at. Some of it's going to be TDOT dumping the water, and I can't do anything to the...
Where the water line is city of Baldwin.
I understand, but some of the water isn't. I can't do anything with it because it's coming off of 111, but we'll look at it and see what we can do for you.
About on 042 there, that is city limits.
Well, we'll be sure and pass that on to Director Jones, and we'll get out there and have a look and see what is Allgood's responsibility, and see if we can help in any way.
Well, I'll show you where the problem is.
Thank you. All right, I'd like to go ahead and announce these awards, and then if everyone would mind, or the folks that are going to be receiving an award, if they'll stay so we can get your picture made. And just remember, we've also got to go into session as the Beer Board. But just a minute. Yes, Miss Linda?
I'm sorry, were we open for public comment? And just a minute ago?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I missed that. May I ask?
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all approved the, position of, department head for Parks and Rec, if I was paying attention by the second reading. Yes, ma'am. Do you have any guidelines as to what, I guess, what am I trying to say here?
Job description.
Job description, yes, is that, and how will that person be, will they be like applications that will be taken, and who will be, making the decision who that person will be, et cetera, since it's a department head position?
I think there is a job description. At least it's being finalized, if it hasn't been already. And as far as advertising, I'm not sure how that would work. It may be something that we just promote or switch from within. You know, there may be some.
Department head position? I mean, did you not do applications and do in-task for other department head positions?
I don't know, Miss Bilberry. They've been department heads since I was a wee little girl, so I don't know.
I know that the chief had to go through the in-task and all that, and I just wondered how this one was supposed to handle.
We've done both ways. We've promoted within, as was done in the police chief in the past, and we've also took applications. So.
I'll say the city has an employee handbook that addresses hiring, and the general process is the city administrator makes those decisions. Sometimes you have positions like the police chief that you don't have somebody that you want to promote from within, you want to recruit from around the state, and MTAS provides a service where they help advertise for that position statewide and try to help you bring in people from the outside. But you probably wouldn't involve them if you were going to try to promote from within, but that's up to the city administrator to decide.
I just had no idea how the process worked.
Sure.
I was just familiar with what happened the last time, or the last department head position that was filled.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we now want to recognize, first one I have here is Mr. Roy Phipps for completing the Municipal Management Academy Level 1. So congratulations, Mr. Phipps. And we have Mr. Dale Armour, Police Chief, has completed the Municipal Management Academy Level 1. So congratulations. You know, I think it's important that we recognize employees. You know, a lot of times they're the first one that hear the complaint, but they never get the attaboy or attagirl. So I'm glad that we can do this. And as in absentia, Victor Jones completed the Municipal Management Academy Level 1. So he will miss his picture, but maybe he'll come in before we get to that part. Another Deputy Chief Bryant Swallows has completed Municipal Management Academy Level 1. So congratulations to Bryant. And last but not least, our City Manager, Mr. Keith Morrison, has completed Municipal Management Academy Level 1. So congratulations to you and to all of the recipients. And as soon as we complete the beer board meeting, we're going to ask these folks if they would stay and let us present you with your certificate and get your picture made. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it may be Law Enforcement Recognition Week, or it should be a month, I think, instead of just a week. But we certainly want to recognize all law enforcement and appreciate all that they do and all that they sacrifice for us. That concludes the meeting of the City Council. Unless there's something else, then I would move without objection that we adjourn, and then I will go ahead and call our beer board meeting to order. Any objection to adjourning? All right, so moved, and let it be done.